coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
This was definitely a curveball on our very first day of school this year.
A suspect on the loose after a high-speed pursuit yesterday has closed schools in Osage County today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Freeman.
And I'm Evie Allen. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, students and teachers in the Osage R2 district were kept home today because of a search for a fugitive.
That's right. KOMU 8's Madison Ricks is there now and will tell us what went into that decision. But first, let's go straight through what happened that led to the cancellation. This afternoon, the Osage County Sheriff's Department announced Zachary Wheeler is still on the loose and he could still be in the area. And he's looking maybe potentially, they say, to steal a vehicle to escape. Now, this is a result of a high-speed chase that started on Highway 50 in Franklin County yesterday. Wheeler had outstanding warrants in Warren County for drug possession and unlawful use of a weapon. The chase ended in Osage County, where spike strips were used near the Highway 89 spur. The vehicle lost control, and Wheeler and two women tried to run. Sheriff's deputies were able to find the women, but Wheeler got away. The events also affected nearby places like the Osage County Public Library and State Tech in Lynn. Today, the library kept its doors closed but remained open. State Tech was able to stay open today.
With law enforcement and kind of figured that it was completely safe to come back to school today. Now, students, faculty, staff, their safety is still the most important thing for all of us, but we do feel as though we can move on without any incident today.
The Osage County Sheriff is encouraging people in the area to be vigilant and lock all doors and vehicles and call 911 if you see any suspicious activity.
Osage County R2 schools did cancel classes today out of precaution.
The district announced this morning that all schools would be closed and there would be no activities. KOMU 8's Madison Ricks talked to the superintendent and is in Lynn now to tell us what led to the decision. Madison.
Osage County schools were not expecting to close today, especially because classes just started yesterday. The schools went into a lockdown Tuesday afternoon after the sheriff's office released on Facebook that there was an ongoing search for a suspect in the area. I was on campus today and it was empty. Students were at home for their second day, and the superintendent says he didn't want to take any chances.
We considered the risk that was involved in a potential contact with the suspect and determined that it wasn't worth any part of that risk to have school today.
The superintendent says that there is a chance that students will be back on campus tomorrow, but they're still going to hold off on afternoon activities. Reporting live in Lynn, Madison Ricks, KOMU 8 News.
All right, thank you, Madison. Well, we're still in the midst of summer, but it's been feeling more like fall in mid-Missouri these past few days.
It definitely has. And those cool temperatures make it a great day for Family Fun Fest out at Albert Oakland Park.
The First Alert meteorologist Kesley Cavellis is there live now. So Kesley, how's it feeling out there today? Because I know today coming in, it felt really nice.
Yeah, it honestly feels so good out here. It's honestly probably the best day that I could have asked for to get out of the studio, get outdoors, spend some time at the park for Family Fun Fest this evening. Across mid-Missouri, we saw some cloud cover this morning. That has since cleared and we're looking very sunny this afternoon and through the rest of this evening too. Temperatures across the region, most of us in the middle to upper 70s, seeing a temperature of 75 degrees right now in Columbia. We do have some upper 70s, mainly to the west of Highway 63, 79 degrees in Fayette, 78 in Boonville, a bit closer to the lower to middle 70s east of 63, 74 degrees in Lynn, 73 in Fulton. Over the next several hours, those temperatures will continue to fall, but we're still looking to remain towards the middle 70s through the remainder of Family Fun Fest. A very pleasant evening to come outdoors. I'll have more details in just a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Kesley. Well, Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, will accept the Democratic nomination for vice president tonight. Now, he's gone from a relatively unknown politician to number 2 on the Democratic ticket in a short time.
NBC's Bree Jackson is at the Democratic National Convention looking at ways that alternative media is having an influence on this year's election.
Tonight, Tim Walz is taking center stage at the Democratic National Convention to officially accept the vice presidential nomination.
Here's what's happening right now. Sources tell NBC that Robert F. Kennedy plans to drop out of the presidential race and endorse former President Trump.
Sources say he will announce his decision this Friday at his campaign event in Arizona.
Escalated protests last night in front of the Israeli consulate in Chicago led to arrests and injured officers. Hundreds of protesters gathered in protest of the war in Gaza. Police called for a dispersal as they marched toward officers in riot gear. Protesters refused and dozens were arrested. Chicago Police Superintendent says his officers did not spark any violence.
We were not the initiators of violence, but we responded to it. And our officers responded exactly the way that they were trained to respond.
This was the second night in a row protests led to arrests, and there's expected to be more tonight.
A fugitive from Mississippi surrendered in Chicago this morning after a long standoff. The U.S. Marshals Service said Joshua Zimmerman was back in custody at about 8 a.m. this morning. Zimmerman barricaded himself inside a Chicago restaurant for more than 15 hours. Zimmerman was being held in Mississippi for attempted murder and armed robbery. Authorities had been searching for him in several states before he was finally located and apprehended in Chicago. Divers recovered 5 bodies today from inside a super yacht that sank in a storm off of Sicily. The Daily Telegraph newspaper reported that 2 of them were the bodies of British tech entrepreneur Mike Lynch and his 18-year-old daughter Hannah. The discovery follows a days-long search in the deep seas off the Italian coast where Lynch and several others were believed to be trapped in the luxury sailboat's hull. 15 of the 22 people aboard survived. A Missouri death row inmate avoids the death penalty. Hear what led to today's overturn and what comes next.
And a school bus crashed into a Memphis apartment building early this morning. What happened? And an update on the people involved.
We're seeing pleasant temperatures out there. We're also going to be seeing a pleasant evening as well out there. It's not going to be lasting, though, the whole week. In fact, this week when we're tracking warmer temperatures, I'll detail that coming up.
But first, take a live look over the Lake of the Ozarks. This is KOMU 8 News at 5, coverage you can count on. A St. Louis man will avoid his scheduled execution next month after agreeing to a plea deal in court. Today in court, it was revealed key evidence in the case, the murder weapon, was mishandled. Because of that, Marcellus Williams was able to enter an Alford plea, which is a guilty plea made by a defendant who maintains their innocence. Instead of the death penalty, Williams will get life in prison without parole.
It's not the decision I would have been leaning towards, you know what I'm saying? Because I want a full exoneration because I believe wholeheartedly that my father that he is innocent.
Williams is now scheduled for a formal sentencing tomorrow morning, where the victim's family will have an opportunity to speak.
A school bus crashed into an apartment building in Memphis this morning, sending 5 people to the hospital. The bus driver suffered a medical emergency, lost control, and crashed into the building. 2 girls and 2 adults on the bus were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. A resident of the apartment building says the bus slammed into her son's bedroom, but he was not injured. And a major fire has disrupted Detroit's west side. The cause, 500 yards of mulch.
And we'll certainly enjoy the below average temperatures, but at some point we're going to have to say goodbye to the below average temperatures and hello to the above average temperatures. I'll have more details on that coming up.
The Detroit Fire Department is battling a mulch fire that broke out at a storage yard early yesterday morning. The fire started around 6 p.m. at a storage yard on Detroit's west side. Officials said the fire is burning in a massive pile of mulch stacked around 20 feet or higher and stretched out over 500 yards. Smoke from the fire is affected the air quality across the city. No other information, including what initially caused the fire, is available at this time. Well, a massive fire broke out in Jackson, Mississippi that started Saturday has reignited. The fire at a tire recycling plant had died down Tuesday, but then it lit back up today. The Jackson Assistant Fire Chief said the reignition is due to firefighters moving things around within the fire that exposes it to more oxygen. The fire has been burning continuously for 4 days, but it's still under control.
It's another beautiful day to be outside. KOMU 8's Kesley Cabela's is live at Albert Oakland Park, where the city's Family Fun Fest is taking place. It looks like she's got someone with her. Kesley.
Yeah, we're live from Family Fun Fest this week. I'm joined by Moira from the Parks and Recreation Department in Columbia. So what can you tell us about the theme for this month, since every Family Fun Fest has a theme? Very nice evening to be able to come out and do any kind of outdoor activities across mid-Missouri. Let's send it back into the studio with meteorologist Noah Simmons for a closer look at the forecast.
Yeah, really couldn't ask for a better day to be out there. It's honestly probably cooler in Albert, Oakland than what I am in a suit right now, but what do I know? Also, we're going to have lower humidity as well. So it's going to be certainly feeling a little bit nice out there as well. So definitely a good day to be outdoors later this evening.
All right, thanks, Noah. Well, a major retail giant saw an increase in sales for the first time in a year. Hear what the company did to get back in the green.
Just ahead, my interview with the father of an American hostage held in Gaza, why he's here at the Democratic National Convention and what he wants convention goers to know. And our interview with sprinter Noah Lyles on winning Olympic gold. What we see you here on Nightly News.
Job growth in the U.S. was significantly weaker than initial reports. Now, that's according to new data released today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics annual review suggests there were 818,000 fewer jobs in March than initially reported. The date marks the largest downward revision since 2009. The estimates released by the department are preliminary and won't be finalized until February of next year.
Ford has announced changes to its electric vehicle strategy. The auto manufacturer is adjusting its lineup of all electric SUVs and replacing them with hybrid models. Hybrids are gaining popularity in the United States. Typically, they offer shorter battery range but longer overall range when combined with a gasoline engine. Ford will continue to develop EVs at a slower pace. And Target saw an increase in sales for the first time in a year. According to the retail giant, their profits rose by 36%. The company attributed the boost to the price cuts from earlier this year. The company also accredits its 3% increase in foot traffic.
We'll have one final look at your forecast next. And a recap of our top story today. An Osage County School District canceled classes today because of a fugitive in the area. The Osage County Sheriff's Department announced they're looking for Zachary Wheeler after he escaped a high-speed chase that ended in a crash. Osage County R2 schools did cancel classes today out of precaution. The schools went into a lockdown yesterday afternoon after the sheriff's office released on Facebook that there was an ongoing search for a suspect in the area. The superintendent says there's a chance students will be back on campus tomorrow.
Well, coming up at 6, Columbia is making a change as opioid overdoses continue to rise in mid-Missouri.
Hear how Boone County is partnering with one local hospital to improve emergency response.
And the comfortable weather will be continuing as we go throughout the rest of this evening. Any outdoor dining plans, you got the 5 stars for that. Really anything outdoors, you got the green light for that as well. And the lower humidity too, that's actually going to continue not just for the rest of today, but even into the rest of tomorrow. We'll have daytime highs reaching near 80 degrees, so just a little bit warmer than what we saw today, and then also staying dry. And staying dry for Friday as well, but notice those warmer temperatures getting up to near 90 degrees by Saturday and Sunday, and eventually even still sticking with the lower 90s for next week, Monday and Tuesday. I know this time last year, we had multiple days where it was 90 degrees plus, even a few 95 plus degree days in there. So hopefully, by the time we get to Mizzou's home opener on Thursday, maybe we're a little bit cooler in the upper 80s, but yeah.
Well, it looks like it that we got a chance for that, so the summer heat, maybe it just sticks around for the weekend.
Yeah, you know, things can change. That's still a week away.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, I do plan to be there, so I'm hoping for some good weather. Not too hot,
We're
not
going to
too
be
cold.
relying on you and the rest of the team. No?
Right.
Yes, well, let's hope for good weather and a Mizzou win, too, to kick off the season, hopefully.
Yeah,
So,
that would be perfect along with perfect weather.
for sure. I would pay $100 for this weather right now. We'll see.
Oh, he put
That's
his money
too
in.
much. Okay, that's too much.
You need to know how much you would pay. You said 100.
Definitely. All right, well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock. Nightly News is next.